Hey guys, hello everyone. Today is Tuesday, 11/11. Look at this wonderful glowing glob of whatever it is behind me. The sun coming through the window there, but it sure is making some pretty, whatever it's doing. Or is it just the sun? Is it a beautiful visitor? Come visit me. Anyway, so, um, today is not going to be a terribly long video today. I know I say that to you guys and then I end up doing like a damn near hour long video, right? You really can't believe me when I say that, okay? I am feeling much better as you can see and hear. I still got a lot of whatever it is going on inside of me. I think it's that RSV thing that's going around. Very mucusy, and I've been treating it, doing all kind of stuff, but I guess it just has to run its course, and it's doing its course for sure. Um, First thing is a couple people, quite a few of you scolded me with love. You did it with love, but you were like, "Hey, Vina, you forgot to talk about like your predictions, some of the predictions that came true, and you know, uh." So, you didn't mention them. So here's a few that I did not mention, predictions I made that did come true. Hey, Bean, I was surprised when you didn't mention the explosive period you had predicted for last week. I live in Louisville, Kentucky, and when a UPS plane crashed on November the 4th, sending a huge cloud of smoke over the city and prompting widespread shelter in place warnings. It was the first thing I thought of. There was also an intentional explosion at a Harvard medical lab the Saturday before that, all in the news. Please check it out. So yes, I honestly did completely forget to mention about um, my prediction about explosions the week of the 4th, and I said somewhat after. That one actually came on the 4th. Also, another great person reminded me about, I had mentioned Japan a few videos back. I said that they had been through enough, but I was concerned about them, and they have suffered a very serious, like 6.9 Richter scale earthquake, and several aftershocks after that. That region, unfortunately, I don't feel that we're done with the stuff that's going to hit them right now. And then, of course, the Philippines had that um, another typhoon hit them after the one they just had. So, yeah, they're still suffering through these weather events. And I still see that huge, huge earthquake coming, 8.0 and above, very big coming. And for some reason, which is a good reason, I'm seeing it in a partially mountainous type region. And so I'm hoping that's true because the more mountainous the region, the less actual population is there. Um, I'm not sure if I see it in the United States. I don't think I do. I think it's overseas somewhere, but in a very mountainous type region. But it's going to be a huge one, and then we're going to feel sort of big aftershocks throughout the world, type of thing. So that's still upcoming. That one hasn't come to pass yet. So another prediction I had made, I had told you guys a while ago, and you kept asking. I don't know why people kept asking, maybe in panic mode or whatever. But I told you a while ago, um, so-called same-sex marriage was going to be safe. It was. I didn't feel it was going to be touched. I think it's going to stay as it is, um, for now, and that was just proven in the very recent Supreme Court decision where ultra self-righteous, um, hateful, super bad hair girl, Kim Davis, I guess her name is, um, petitioned the Supreme Court, uh, in her fight to ban, same-sex marriage. It's amazing to me the level of selfishness and self-righteousness this person has, against, same-sex marriage. If you hate it that much, by all means, don't ever marry someone who is your same sex. Otherwise, leave people the F alone, go about your life, and please, I implore you, and I may even, you know, try to help you at some point if you're serious about doing it. Do something with your hair, okay? Because honestly, that bothers me. I wish I could petition the Supreme Court to have your hairstyle just totally banned throughout the United States. You look a hot, horrible mess. You look as ugly on the outside as you are on the inside. Okay? Um, I wish it was that simple that I just could go somewhere and, like, I don't know, can I file like some type of police report in Kentucky against your hairstyle? Because, I feel very strongly about that. And I just think it should be banned, and you should not be allowed to walk around with that hairstyle. Okay, so I'm going to definitely look into that. Okay, if I think fair is fair, truly do. All right. Okay, great. So, okay, the bill. The very first thing I usually ever do, when something major happens to me, whether it's on a personal level or whether I hear about it in the news, or um, someone is telling me something, I read something, I always check in with my spiritual sense, my intuitive sense, and possibly if, my helpers on the other side are giving me info, I'm very attuned to what they're saying. And so when I heard about the shutdown deal that Chuck Schumer offered Republicans, in the Senate, and then I started seeing a bunch of, um, social media people coming out against Chuck Schumer. He should resign. This is a horrible thing. Blah 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 blah. The only problem was that didn't jive with what I was getting. It just didn't. It clashed and went against what I was getting, regarding this. What I received, both intuitively and from my helpers on the other side, was that it is the right thing at this time. And it is, there's more good in it than we realize. And good will come out of it eventually. Okay? So I cannot go along with the overall cry of Dems caved, Chuck Schumer should this, should that. I'm not really for or against Chuck Schumer. I guess I'm more for him, since he is the minority leader of the party I just happen to support. But I'm not like a humongous mega fan or anything. But I am going to always listen to my spiritual spidey senses before I listen to anyone putting out their opinion. And like I said, I feel that this deal is going to eventually, when it gets locked in, okay, when it gets locked in, it's going to do more good than bad. And as I started looking into it, certainly one of the things in the deal is that all the fired federal workers must be returned back to their jobs with back pay. Well, I don't know how anyone can disagree with that. Okay. And all the people that are furloughed, one of my sons just happens to be one of those people, will be returned to work. And I believe they should be also getting their back pay. He wasn't fired, he was furloughed. Um, so that's definitely a good thing. The country needs to open up, and you know, air travel needs to resume. A lot of things need to resume. There's a lot of stoppage. A lot of people aren't working, and they need to be back to work. Now, as for the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, the subsidies, I feel, or rather, what I was told, is that even good will come out of that eventually, because some Republicans are going to buck this administration and their party and get those subsidies back. Okay? They're going to. So I'm sure that's all in the why this needed is the right thing at this time. Get these people back to work, get the country open back up, and then, unbeknownst to Republicans who are staunchly against people having health care and affordable health care, um, that actually too will work out. Those subsidies will get back in there some kind of way. I do see, like I said, some Republicans caving. And, you know, another thing that I've told people before is stop panicking, acting. As soon as you hear something, people are instantly on my comments, and and get out the mode of panicking as soon as someone says something. Allow things to unfold. Um, Give Divine Love a chance to do her thing. She always does. She never fails. She always has the last word. She always has the last word. It's a fact. It's a law. It's a principle. It's not wishful. It's not being hopeful. It's a fact. Divine love runs things, no matter what you hear. How many things has this administration said, okay? And it's either been eventually overturned, retracted, pulled back, changed. They lost in court, on and on and on and on. And that goes with a lot of things. Um, so, but I can tell you on the ACA, I definitely see the Republicans somehow caving. I don't give a flying F what they say now. Things are happening. A lot of things are happening behind the scenes. A lot of people aren't aware of. And one of the beautiful things that happened, and I think we all saw it by now, was Don the Con was booed mercilessly at that Commanders game, right? On Sunday. Oh my God. It was so bad. I actually felt a tiny cringe of embarrassment for him. And I have no liking whatsoever for this demonic, evil, embracing moron. Okay, none. But I actually felt a slight tinge of, it was embarrassing. The entire stadium booed him. Okay. Now, we enjoyed that as far as us, but in in broader terms, in spiritual terms, it was a true um, display of the general, complete, absolute feeling this country has against this man. Now, something interesting happened when I was watching one of the videos of him getting booed, and I want you guys to go check it out too. Um, in one of the videos, one of my actual helpers forced me and directed me to actually look at Hegseth's face in the background. Hegseth's face in the background tells you everything you need to know. There's something in the knowing look that he has as Don the Con is being booed. There's a lot in that look. It's like a true settling in and understanding this is wrong. This is wrong. This entire thing is wrong. Um, this is not right. And he knows it settles. You can see it settling in his soul. Go check it out if you haven't, but pay particular attention to Hegseth and his face, his posture, his stance, and the look on his face. And you will understand completely what I'm talking about. I hadn't even paid any attention to Hegseth when I was first watching these videos until I was directed to pay attention to him. Okay, he's in the background of a few of the videos. So, okay, some beautiful snapback. Wisconsin received, a lot of the Democratic states received the SNAP benefit money, and they released them. Pennsylvania was one. California released their the full benefits. Wisconsin was another. I think Delaware was another. There was a few other Democratic states that received SNAP money, released them, and now the Trump administration is saying, "Oh, no, pull it back. Undo those SNAP benefits, blah, blah, blah." And they're like, no. And Wisconsin was the latest. Tony Evers was like, no, ain't doing it. Money's in the pockets, can't do it. So, that too is, divine love at work. There was such, and Mercury being retrograde had a little bit to do with that. In the sense of the money was put there, but not to be fully released, but somehow it got released. Okay, so Mercury, like I told you guys, sometimes it fixes things. It's full of shenanigans, full of trickery, but it fixes things. Okay, and that's one of the things it fixed. It allowed this money to flow through. And to the red states that did not get their money, or their money was not released, or their governors refused to release the money, they are the ones that need to feel this the worst. Sure, I have sympathy and empathy for anyone that is going hungry, for sure. I'm not a monster. Not at all. Not at all. However, I know that they need an upfront demonstration and reality check of who and what they support. That's just a fact. They need a reality check, okay, to see the cruelty. And mind you, this administration has gone all the way to the Supreme Court because they were ordered twice to pay SNAP these benefits, and they go to the Supreme Court to appeal it, just not to do it. Meanwhile, exactly the same time they're petitioning the Supreme Court to undo paying these SNAP benefits, Don the Con is hosting a lavish Gatsby party at Mar-a-Lago. And I don't know if you've seen some of the footage, but it's like a let them eat cake moment. You've got the lobster tails, the crab claws, the oysters on the half shell, the ice fountains, all this. Like, I don't know. I don't know. There is no balance in that. And you know how the universe is about balance. Things must balance. Right? The universe is balance, is harmony. It must balance. And anything that's not eventually must be made to balance. Right? Okay. So, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. I did want to answer some questions, and these questions kind of are applicable to us all. I think there's um, info and understanding in these questions for all of us, okay? And that's why I pick a lot of the questions that I do if we can all kind of benefit from them. Um, so, the very first one I wanted to talk about was, or answer, is I need like someone to get me on track here. Okay, how can you tell the difference between spiritual guidance and ego guidance, right? And I would assume that would be spiritual intuition versus our ego, okay? So the first thing that's important to note, whenever spirit gives, flows information to us, or whenever our spirit self from our soul flows information to us in the form of intuition, that whispering, etc., there is no human emotion involved in that. Okay? The intuition, the flash, the feeling that comes through, it's always firm, it's always strong, and it's non emotive. It doesn't have an emotional attachment to it. It is, it's a whispering of the truth to us, okay? And truth is unemotional, okay? It is, it feels neutral, firm, and it feels strong, even if it comes as a whisper. It doesn't always shout in our ear, "Hey, Venia, do this." Typically comes as a very light, feathered, intuitive thought. But the thought, the energy behind that has its own power. And it's strong. And it's firm. But mainly it doesn't have an emotional feeling attached to it. Okay? Now, sometimes we can get a euphoric feeling when we receive an intuition from our helpers or our spiritual selves. It can be euphoric. In other words, it feels elevating. And that's another way we know that's the right thought. That's the right feeling. Okay. That's the right thought. Okay. But it's not in a human emotive type of, oh, you know, type of feeling. Okay. Or it never makes you feel super duper horribly sad or super duper horribly angry. Okay? The human emotive part is not attached to anything from the spirit world. It's always neutral, but it's always firm. Okay? And strong, even though it comes as a whisper. All right? So, okay. Um, this person says, Auntie, how do you handle having bad predictions? I feel some type of impending doom coming soon, but I don't know what to do. Do I try to change the outcome or let it be? Okay, I understand that they're not coming from an arrogant place by asking that. They're coming from an honest place to avert um, what they are interpreting as a horrible type of feeling on something. Okay? And I too have gotten what you would call impending doom type of um, visions. I've seen things, and I've told you guys, I've seen several people that I know and love. I just knew that they were about to pass. I just knew. And that's about as doom and gloom as you can get. But I've never tried to change the outcome. Maybe the personal, deep inner part of me wanted the outcome to change, but I always have to submit to the fact that, okay, the pulse and energy of the universe always beats at a perfectly harmonic rate. Always. It can't stop doing that. That is just what it does. Okay, so even though I may interpret something as a doom and gloom moment, I cannot seek or try to change the outcome because we cannot change harmony. We cannot change the perfection that is always there. So if you flip that thought, okay, you submit to that perfection, to that harmony. Um, you merge into that so-called what you think is doom and gloom. Now, to be honest with you, although the people that I have sensed that were going to pass and I didn't want them to, okay, I also understood why they did. And that is the result of merging into that understanding of the perfection that's going on at all times, okay? I gained that understanding by doing that, okay? Like, for instance, in my father's case, there was no way he was going to be happy being here anymore. He was miserable. And so, although I did not want him to leave, um, he had to go. He was literally just he was torn here in a bad place. Okay. In another case, I saw my uh, chief master sergeant in the Air Force. He was scolding me for bouncing checks way back when I was in my early 20s, in the newbie in the service, and I got caught bouncing a couple checks, probably to Domino's or something. Who knows? But anyway, and they had, and he was nice. This nice guy, loved him dearly. Um, and he scolded me, Venia, you can't. What are you doing? And and I just saw that he was not going to be around for long. And instead of trying to change that, I accepted that, merged into that, and I realized that he was married to a woman that he was older, quite elder, not old, but he was older man, and he was basically in the way of other people living out their full life path. Okay, so that was one of the things that I saw in understanding that. But anyway, bottom line is you cannot change how harmony operates and functions and how it will translate into this world, into this dimension. Okay? So, what may seem like doom and gloom to you, okay, is never really that way. There is always a harmonious unfolding of what should be. Okay? So, no. And I hate to say it, but you couldn't change it, the outcome, if you wanted to. Now, in some cases, the outcome that is supposed to be may align with what you want. And so you think, oh, I've changed the outcome. No, never. No, you don't change the outcome. I don't change the outcome. What happens, like I said, is your wishing, your thoughts may align with the harmonic unfolding of what is supposed to be. And then that merges into each other. And so it looks like, oh, I changed the outcome. But if what you desire something to be is not in line with that perfection, that harmony, that harmonic pulse of the universe, guess what? You're not going to change it. And that's why I tell people all the time, Don the Con and his whatever think that they're all in charge and stuff. No, they're not. Never have been and never will be. Some of their actions may go in line with things that are unfolding, okay? And so it may looks like they're in charge. But when it bucks against the grain of harmony, they get stopped at every turn. They will get stopped. Their efforts will fail some kind of way. That's just what happens. Okay? So I hope that answers that question. And the last one that I wanted to do was someone had lovingly, they had a food drive. They said, I have a question of divine love. My son and I had a food drive today for our local food pantry. Over 1,000 people saw the poster we put online. We were there for 5 hours and only one person came. What lesson are we being taught? Well, sometimes, first of all, that's a beautiful gesture. How kind of you to do that. And, you know, I'm not a advice offerer type of person, but I would say, I wouldn't give up. I would probably maybe try one more time or whatever, if your intention is there. But to answer your question, sometimes there's not necessarily a lesson involved always. Okay, it could be just um, kind of showing you what you're made of. Your true intentions were there. Um, and if I'm not mistaken, you oh, you didn't say that you who you were with, but whoever was with you that was doing this, their true intentions were there. Sometimes that's kind of all that really, is going on. What's your true intention on things? Were the intentions truly there? You know, um, and that's something that only you can answer. I certainly am not going to even attempt to. Um, but it may not necessarily been a lesson involved. Okay, and if your intentions were true, they certainly sound like they were, and truly there. That's really all that was needed for that particular act. And remember, no energy expended in kindness ever goes wasted. Even though one person only showed up, still wasn't a wasted energy. Energy goes on without us even seeing where it lands sometimes, where it falls. You do one small, tiny little thing and it just has a ripple effect elsewhere that you'll never even know about. Ever. Okay? So, I think that's it for today, guys. I did pause because I wanted to check my notes. I was given another date, December the 2nd. I was given November the 23rd before. Um, but I'm not sure if I even said that um, out. So November the 23rd, and then I was given December the 2nd. So I'm going to keep that written down as two dates to look at and put those in my on my phone calendar, and let's see what happens on those dates. Um, and let's just allow things to play out. There's a lot of things that are going to be playing out um, before the end of this year comes. There's going to be a lot of things happening, a lot of major things. Um, I can't say each and every one, but there's going to be a lot of major things coming up. And for right now, I have to laugh because some of you, being the good natured people that you are, told me about some of the Mercury shenanigans you've been going through, but you're dealing with it with such a light heart. And I just love that. And I think it's wonderful um, because that's how you treat the Mercury shenanigans, okay? We're full force into the Mercury retrograde right now. It's quite strong. She's doing her thing. I can definitely tell you that it has every day it's something. I can't even, I would fill this book up telling you about the little stuff that happens to me throughout the day with the Mercury shenanigans, and I'm just going through it and keep going. And I know what to look out for, and a lot of you now fortunately do too. So your attitude is what is going to get you through it very successfully. You know what it is. By the way, I just had read there was a woman. She went hiking up on the mountains. It's in the video right before this. She put it in the comments. Um, She's one of the people I'm talking about with a good attitude, and I really hope she hears this. She had went to the mountains hiking, lost her phone. She said right away, she knew it was Mercury. Um, and we went back and forth a little bit. Um, and I reminded her that, nothing in the spiritual lens is ever lost. In spiritual eyes, there's never a loss. But anyway, um, she went back to look for her phone. She found it. She just let me know right before I came on this to do this video. Okay. Now, she's in the mountains, guys. Okay. So, thanks for letting me know that. I really appreciate it. I'm very happy and pleased for you. Um, but yeah, she found her phone, so good for her. And her attitude, like I said, was just, oh, I know it's Mercury. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff, all kind of stuff. Check engine lights, travel. You hear about these people sitting at the airport for 7, 8 hours a day, having to spend a night. That's just the kind of stuff Mercury does. But as with everything, there is always a balance to things. Mercury fixes stuff. She does. She can fix relationships. She can fix mistakes in documents. She can fix if there's a problem with an appliance. It's going to show up during a Mercury retrograde so it can be fixed. Okay. Um, so, yeah. So, you know, hang in there, guys. We will definitely get through it as we always do. All right. So, thanks. And I just love you guys and your comments and stuff. And just keep it up. Take care.